Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guest and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, you'll have two movies to go check out. And joining me, as always, for the fourth Thursday of the month, it is Jeff. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
And this is episode 99 of the Wasteland Retrospective. So it's kind of crazy. Doing this for almost 2 years now. This version of this idea for sure. Um, but we're going to be talking about a couple of films where, whether it was by choice or not, their lives become reality television. And that is 1998's The Truman Show and 1999's EDtv. So let's get started with The Truman Show, which is from director Peter Weir of Dead Poet Society fame and Witness and Master and Commander. And here starring Jim Carrey as Truman Burbank. An insurance salesman begins to suspect that his whole life is actually some sort of reality TV show. But Jeff, what are your general thoughts on The Truman Show?
I love this movie. Like it's so much fun and Jim Carrey's just fantastic in it. It's like it's one of those movies that's like it's not Jim Carrey being like goofy Jim Carrey like we
Mhm.
see in, like The Mask and all these other like crazy things that he does. Like it's him kind of playing a little bit more of a grounded type of role. There's a little bit of
Yeah.
goofiness that he does in here, but it's not over the top or anything like, The Mask or Ace
Mhm.
Ventura or any of those movies, but it's a definitely a more fun role for him to dig into. So I like when he does like things like this or things like Eternal Sunshine and stuff like that
Mhm.
because it really kind of shows that he can do all kinds of stuff.
He's a extremely talented actor, and obviously, for most of his career, that's been channeled into, The Mask and Dumb and Dumber and Ace
Hmm.
Ventura. And here, this was, I guess, his first big break into doing something that was much more dramatic. Obviously, he has
Yeah,
like, well, if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. He still
yeah.
has that like rubbery kind of charm to him, but there's a lot of sadness and there's
Hmm.
a lot of paranoia that he's navigating, even from like that opening moment of that light fixture falling down from the sky and him just like looking up like that. There's just so much going on in this performance, and he builds so much empathy in this performance as Truman because you have to have somebody who has that kind of connection that it's believable in the real world that all of these people are just watching him and watching
Yeah.
his life. And this film, I think, has an excellent cast. Obviously, a lot of people talk about Jim Carrey, and he deserves a lot of credit, but like Laura Linney is on like a brink of a total emotional meltdown throughout the whole
Hmm.
entire film, and she sells that so perfectly.
Yeah, that's how I always just kind of see her character in anything from now on. Is
Mhm.
like that kind of character where she's just like on the verge of that breakdown, like you said.
It's just like, how about you buy some of this? And it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Her doing all those like in scene advertisements is hilarious. And like
Hmm.
Ed Harris is an Oscar nominated actor for this role as Kristoff, which I find very fascinating that he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this. But
He doesn't
he,
really do much.
it's like, and it's not even particularly showy. It's very
Hmm.
like he sells the arrogance and this godlike complex that Kristoff
Yeah.
has very organically. It's even pretty understated. I think probably the biggest scene that sells it is him trying to coerce
Hmm.
Truman back in at the very end of the film. And there's like this strange gentleness, this fatherly connection that he thinks that he has with Truman. And
Yeah.
then, damn, that mic drop of Truman just like well, if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And there's just so much emotion in that, and he does the bow, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
because like I love this movie. This is one of my favorite films, and I've been watching this since I was a kid. I had this on VHS, and
Yeah.
I even enjoyed this a lot as a kid. And as an adult, then I understand just like the profound paranoia and everything that's underlying here too.
Well, because like when you're a kid, like watching this movie, you find it kind of like fascinating,
Yep,
like because you're like, oh my God, he's on TV, but he doesn't know it, and then he figures it out. But then as an adult, you start like kind of seeing it more in like an existential sense,
yep,
and it really does kind of make it like a whole other way of viewing. And
mhm,
so it's one of those movies that like I could show this to my 8-year-old nephew and he'll like it for a completely different reason
yeah.
that I like it, but we both like it, you know?
And I think that's a special vibe that this film has because, like,
Yeah.
and one other performance I want to really point out is, and I don't think I really appreciated him until I watched The Americans, is Noah Emmerich.
Yeah.
He he does a lot of great work in this film. That scene where he's trying to talk Truman down,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Am I not real? And like, am I part of this then, Truman?" Like, there's emotion there. I'm like, damn, Noah
Yeah.
Emmerich. Like, I didn't realize just how great of a performance he puts into this. Like, honestly think he should have deserved the best supporting actor nomination than Ed Harris. But there's just some really great work going on here. And there's a charm to it. The production design, the feel to it is so great.
Hmm.
The camera work is so interesting because there's so many of these like hidden cameras with these like fisheye lenses and stuff like that capturing specific moments. And I have to give a lot of credit to Peter Weir, who I think is like he gets acclaim, but he's never really put up there as like one of the great filmmakers. But he's made some incredible films, and he just understands crafting a very specific vibe for this film
Hmm.
that is funny and charming and heartwarming and thrilling and all of these things and so much emotion into it, all rolled into one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this, I'm really not super familiar with Peter Weir's work outside of this. Maybe I
Mhm.
have seen stuff that he's done, I just don't know it off the top of my hand. But it's just so expertly done the way the way like the editing that goes on to this and then just everything down to the way like the actors portray things. Like I love when like Laura Linney is like trying to like do the like product placements and everything. It's so like it's one of those things where like even if I was Truman in that sense, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like it's funny, like it's dumb to for us to watch it, but like to her, like she's really selling it, you know? Like
Mhm.
and then like it shows and especially like when you say like Noah Emmerich, like he's even coming in and like that scene towards the end where he's like, "Hey Truman, I got your favorite beer," blah blah blah. Like it's one of those things that just makes me laugh so much that they're like they're actors playing actors, you know?
Yeah. And one of them is cracking all the time,
Yeah.
and the seams are there. And then Noah Emmerich seamlessly slips into his character so well.
Hmm.
And like when he popped his head out and broke character and was like, "What do you want me to do? Where is?" And we're just
Yeah.
like, that was like a really special moment. And Peter Weir is a very famous Australian director because like he did films like Picnic at Hanging Rock and Gallipoli and later on The Way Back. But he had a stretch there where he made Witness, Mosquito Coast, Dead Poet Society, and his last big American film was Master and Commander, The Far
Yeah.
Side of the World. And like he hasn't made anything in 16 years, but like I love what I've seen that he has done, and he's made such a big impact. And I have to give a lot of credit to Burkhard von Dallwitz, who's the composer. The music in this movie is
Hmm.
so unique and just gives this film such a distinct atmosphere. that at times is very emotional and very moving, and other times like kind of frightening
Yeah,
and disorienting. I think the music really accentuates the different places this film takes you. And, you have the little moments where like Jim Carrey's like talking to himself in the mirror, or like that moment where he comes in and interrupts uh Marlon trying to load the machine and he does the whole clap thing and it's like so
yeah,
paranoid about everything. So there's just so many great elements to this film, and this is one of those films that'll evolve with you
sure.
because you could appreciate this for its surface level when you're younger, and just it deepens and enriches as you watch it more and more. And I think especially as reality TV and social media has shaped basically us putting our lives out there at all times, this is
Hmm.
so prescient. Just like between some of these films in the 90s were way ahead of their time in terms of capturing stuff like this. The Matrix, this, we'll talk about EDtv, and just like, in the late 90s were all about like, we're just gonna like put ourselves out there or want to live in simulations and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's really interesting. Jeff, do you have anything else you wanted to add specifically about the Truman Show?
Not really. It's just a great movie. If you haven't watched it, I can't imagine anybody listening to this podcast hasn't watched it already. But if you haven't watched it, go see it. It's a recurring watch for me. Not super often, but
Mhm.
it's definitely one I put on every couple of years just to kind of rewatch it and enjoy it.
Absolutely. I certainly revisit this quite a bit. And one last throw into Andrew Niccol, who is the Kiwi screenwriter of this film, who also wrote Gattaca. So he had an interesting stretch of high concept, very intelligent films at the time, exploring a lot of interesting things about society. He also wrote The Host, which was interesting
Interesting.
years later. The YA one, not the
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho one.
Yeah, I was just looking at Peter Weir's directed works, and I was like, I've only seen the only other movie of his I've seen is Dead Poet Society. So
It's a really good one
yeah,
out of all of them that we've checked
out
out.
of all of them, that's a pretty good one.
Yep. Next up we have EDtv, which this honestly, I had never seen this, and I thought I know what it's about. So I'm like, this seems like a really good movie to pair with the Truman Show. And it is from like a conceptual kind of idea. Very different vibe. Very different vibe though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was it's a different it's very similar but also very different at this moment.
Yeah. Because this is directed by Ron Howard, which I had no idea this was directed by Ron Howard.
I had no idea. I literally got done watching it like an hour ago. And
Mhm.
so I literally like I turned the TV or it kind of blew my mind a little bit. I had no idea.
I saw Clint Howard, and then I'm like, wait a minute. I looked it up, and I'm like, it was Ron Howard directed this. It's just like his brother's in it. He must have directed
Yeah.
this. Because I feel like the only other movie I can think of that has Clint Howard in it, not directed by Ron Howard, is probably The Waterboy. But no. Um, and so this film, directed by Ron Howard, a video store clerk agrees to have his life filmed by a camera crew for a television show. And this is starring Matthew McConaughey at peak McConaughey in rom-com territory.
Hmm.
It's, this is interesting because like I really I don't know if I would quite say I love, but I really, really like A Time to Kill, that John Grisham adaptation from Joel
Yeah.
Schumacher. And like McConaughey was doing some like stuff that wasn't rom-coms, and then he like late 90s, he just slid into this space and was just making a crap load of money in these rom-coms, which
Yeah.
this is, but you really boil it down to it, is a rom-com with just all this high concept idea plopped on top of it.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. Because it becomes like a really
Yeah,
big
in a
part of
way.
the
Like I could
story.
like yeah. Like I kind of got like a I in only because I've watched it somewhat recently, I kind of even got like a Running Man type of vibe with it as well. Like the movie
Interesting.
The Running Man.
Well, it is dealing with that reality TV kind of thing,
Yeah.
and you have all these rules and you have to like keep these specific things going. And let's list off how 90s this movie is. One, he's a video rental store clerk. Two, this all their outfits are so aggressively 90s.
Oh yeah.
Music aggressively 90s.
Yeah, the
Elizabeth
soundtrack is
Hurley.
so 90s.
Yeah.
Like it's got like Flagpole Sitta and oh what else did I was like, wow, that song really? There's another one too. I can't think of it.
It really scratched that itch. And like Ellen DeGeneres is in this and
Yeah,
Elizabeth Hurley.
that one
So
was
like
surprising to me. I don't think I've ever actually seen her apart from Finding Nemo. I don't think I've ever actually seen her act in anything before.
what are your thoughts on her performance in this?
Fine. I mean, she's not doing anything extraordinary. It's fine.
I feel like there could have been an actor that came into that role and like added something to it. I think she does a
Yeah.
fine job. I agree. Like I think she does what she needs to. Um I don't know how like necessary it was to have like one thing I'll say about this movie, this is a 2 hour movie. There is so much stuff going on in this. And
Yeah.
like
A lot going on.
you have her whole entire thing. And I'll, one, I think this was my first Rob Reiner movie since he passed away.
Yeah. Oh
Unexpectedly,
yeah, you
this
know
was
what?
Rob
It's
Reiner.
my first movie that I've seen of his that since he passed away, but I've been watching New Girl. He's on New Girl.
Okay.
So I
Well,
so
I
like the, so when I was watching New Girl the last week, I was like, oh,
yeah, he came up. I'm like, oh, and then he turned out to be a jerk. And he played that really well. I thought he was a lot of fun in this movie.
because he's
Um,
not playing like a necessarily like a good guy. He's kind of playing a bad guy, and so it's kind of
mhm.
interesting to see that actor play this kind of role that
Yeah,
I've
because
never seen
like
him play before.
no, like I don't recall seeing Rob Reiner playing a bad person in something. And
Hmm.
this was an interesting thing, seeing him being this greedy television exec that was going
Yeah,
to take advantage of this guy. And you know, Matthew McConaughey is just doing his Matthew McConaughey, charming leading man kind
doing
of thing.
exactly what he normally does.
Yeah. And like I could see why this was like this was really that I don't know if this was the film that really launched that era of his career, but it's certainly towards the beginning of this rom-com era of his career. And I can see why. Like,
Yeah.
and they really leaned into that with like him checking out my butt and then like the camera and stuff like that. Him scratching himself when he wakes up and just like, well, guess what, folks? This man's a man. He's doing
Yeah.
man things, and we're recording it. His brother being Woody Harrelson was
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say an early like one of the early Woody Harrelson Matthew McConaughey pairings
yeah,
before True Detective. I didn't even realize he was in this movie.
I didn't either. And him playing his brother is some inspired choice, especially because like they might actually be related. I heard some like weird thing about their
Oh yeah, like one of those like weird like oh we're like fifth cousins once removed or whatever.
something like that, and it's just like what like I could see them being related, honestly. And like Woody Harrelson turns out to be in this movie a lot less than I anticipated, but from him being his brother, like he
Hmm.
disappears for long tracks of this. Jenna Elfman is our romantic
Surprisingly
lead here.
good.
Okay, I was trying to think about like it was funny because we just watched Friends with Benefits
Yeah,
and she was in that. I did not realize she was in Dharma and Greg as, Dharma. So I guess that was why she was pretty famous at this point. So she was doing this mid that sitcom.
yeah.
And I enjoyed her in this. I thought they had some good chemistry. And then, you just throw in Sex Pot. Elizabeth Hurley to stir the pot. I'm just like, this movie is so late 90s, they just threw some Elizabeth Hurley in there.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was Elizabeth Hurley, to be honest.
She doesn't look that much different, honestly, all these years later, and she flaunts that a lot. And also
Me, I
really
just
weird
don't
she's
like, I
dating
just
Billy
haven't
Ray
seen
Cyrus.
her in much, so I just don't
Fair.
like, I just never really like, I didn't put it together that it was actually her.
Oh, I was a big Austin Powers growing up. So like I had seen her in International Man of Mystery
Yeah.
quite a bit. Um this film is very scattered. Like there's a lot going on here story wise. Like at the end of the day, did this need to be a 2 hour movie? Probably not.
No, they could
Um
have cut some things out.
there are some wild swings with his family life.
Yeah.
One, justice for Martin Landau, who like this man won an Oscar like 5 years before this, and then is rolling up in a film like this. Uh Vivica Davis is his mother, right? And then random wasn't it Dennis Hopper just showed up as his estranged father.
Mm,
Jeff, I don't know if it got you when they're like, your father has died, having sex with your mother, and then Martin Landau rolled up, and then the moment you realize, oh crap,
yeah.
he
I was a little surprised. That one took me by surprise.
and it's like, oh, she had sex with Dennis Hopper and he died during sex. And I felt so bad for Martin Landau's character because he just seems like a nice guy. And then like there there's some moments in this film where I do feel like this did legitimately have something interesting to say. And
Yeah.
there is some poignancy, like the moment where he realizes that they're all of his family's going to be followed, and he's in the Clint Howard's van, and he sees all the TV screens. I'm like, okay, I feel like this movie's like actually hitting a point here where
Hmm.
it has something to say that isn't just like playfully looking at reality TV. Jeff, how did you feel about the solution to the problem at the end of the movie?
I thought it was a little abrupt, and I don't think t in today's day and age, I don't think that would have gotten the show off the air. I think it was very abrupt the way it was ended.
Well, and like I feel like it's very late 90s masculinity playing into that like
Yeah.
the the worst thing they possibly could have done was get some kind of procedure done on, your penis. And then that was something that you'd be so freaked out about that you would
Right.
cancel a high rating show, and just like that felt so obnoxiously 90s and insecure that I'm just like, because I'm like, hey, I was a little invested. I was like, how are they going to get this off the air? And then that happened. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
that's how you're going to resolve this. And I'm just like, it's a little underwhelming and also weird.
Yeah.
Um, like I was this is gonna sound bad, but I was half expecting this to be like somebody's gay. And then that would be something so bad that they would want to take it on. Like that would have been even more aggressively 90s and insecure about this movie. But at least it was just like some kind of penis pump. So,
Yeah.
which I'm just like, wow, great gag in this movie. But like, I feel like if they trimmed down some of the subplots and really dug deeper into some of the emotional stuff, I feel like the thing that I felt most invested, felt pretty invested in Ed and Sherry's relationship, and I felt really bad. But like they really wanted to be together, and they're a much better pairing. That I did get a kick out of him showing up, seeing his brother mid cheating on her, and
Yeah.
then him talking directly to the camera, apologizing to her.
Right.
Because like obviously they're all watching this and it's super awkward. Um, I feel like they committed to the bit pretty well with the whole cameras and everything, but you know, she knew this was going to be the experience, and
Yeah.
it was sad seeing them struggling trying to make this relationship work. But in general, I thought this was much more of like, yeah, it was a fun time. I watched it. Would I
Yeah, I'm
watch
not
it
I'm not
again?
I'm not upset that I watched it, but I mean, it's not something that I feel like I'm gonna go back to. But I mean, I would recommend it to someone who's like, "Hey, I just watched Truman Show." I was like, "Oh, if you like Truman Show, you might like this too." Just
Just go in with much lower expectations, uh,
yeah,
in terms of that. And this is definitely both leaning more into having fun with the concept
yeah,
than really trying to dig in deep and having something profoundly like intelligent
yeah.
to say about it. This is just like, let's have some fun. And you get all right, Matthew McConaughey. So there you go. But Jeff, do you have any final thoughts about EDtv?
No, no, I kind of said everything I wanted to say. It's good. It's fine. It's
It
fine.
isn't. It is indeed. And if you want to get some '90s injected into your veins, go check out EDtv because it has plenty of '90s for sure. But that's a wrap on another episode here of the Wasteland Retrospective. Jeff, thank you as always for coming on and chatting movies with me.
Absolutely, anytime.
And thank you all for listening. Just to give a heads up, so our next episode is indeed our 100th episode. So I did something interesting where we got Adam, Luke, and our fearless leader here at the SPDM crew, Mike Hilty, to join in and do a special fifth week episode for the month of January, where Adam picked a movie, and then Luke picked a movie related to Adam's movie. And then Mike picked a movie related to both of their movies. And then I picked a movie related to all three of them. It became very quick and uh, became very clear very quickly that we're going to be doing a Jimmy Stewart episode. So we are going to be covering Anatomy of a Murder, Flight of the Phoenix, Harvey, and Winchester 73. So a nice range of Jimmy Stewart performances. And next month, Jeff and I will be talking about Donnie Darko and the Butterfly Effect. It's the early aughts, and we're going to get things weird. You know, multiverses and wormholes and giant rabbits. So yeah, you'll get some giant rabbit friends in both next episode and Jeff's next episode. So look at that. But thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite film dealing with reality TV and, that camera eye watching you? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. There's so many different shows with all different types of interests. A lot of ones about movies. So if you love movies, check it out. And if you want to join the crew being a guest on one of these shows or you have an idea for your own podcast, make sure to reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.